is Raquel Gabrielle. I'm author of two urban fantasy paranormal romance books, and I wanted to come on here talking about my NaNoWrimo goals for July and what I plan to do. I didn't update you guys last week. I was kind of taking a week off for before Camp NaNoWrimo. Also wanted to go swimming and just have some fun. I did finish book 3. We are working on edits now. I do have a timeline of the edits that I want to do for this month, July. I already wrote out a little chart that shows how many chapters I have, about how many pages each chapter is roughly, and these are the different edits that I go through. So the first one would be Pro Writing Aid. I go through Pro Writing Aid, like figure out my commas, figure out my sentence structure, kind of just a check and balance. Once I go through that, I should be able to get through all 16 chapters for Pro Writing Aid this month. I should also be able to start at least get about 8 chapters done or so through my first read through. This first read through, I will be adding more words more than cutting words. In Pro Writing Aid, there are some things that I check where if I'm using the same word too many times, I cut that. So there's some cutting in the Pro Writing Aid. In the first read through, there is a lot of adding, though. This is where I add descriptions, since especially when I'm near the end of the book, I want to get it done. I want to get it out and then move on from there. From there, I can just go back and add all the description. I can add scenes that I may have missed, or I want to add a little bit more dramatics. I want to add a little bit more character development. I'll add some scenes. So the first read through will be a major thing to add more, just more to the characters, more, instead of just having them flat and here's the story. This is where I add a lot of words to make the story a little bit more come alive. The second so I should be able to get through 8 chapters of that. The second read through is where I print it out, and now I am actually like reading it in a different format. Instead of on my computer, I'm reading it on a printed out piece of paper, and I'm checking to make sure things flow correctly. There's no plot holes, nothing essential is being missed. Or if something's a little too wordy, I'll be like, we need to correct that. I might be able to get through a couple chapters. I doubt it, though, of that. And then, so I should get through, for sure, one read through of 1 through 8. Maybe a bit more. We'll see. I'm trying to do a chapter a day. And so far, for the last 4 days, I've been able to do that. But we will see. And that will take me through to the end of July. So after that, I have then the second read through and the first read through for chapter 9 through 16, or whatever I don't get in July. Then I have the second read through, which again, like I said, I try to catch anything that I missed on the first 2 go-arounds. Then I have a read through with my husband, and he tries to pick up anything. He takes the story in, tries to help me with anything that I may have missed, my eyes may have missed, he tries to catch. And then he reads the story to also see, like, where is it going? Does he like it? Is the pace too fast, too slow? He I always like him judging my books, or like at least having a say in it, because if you can't keep his attention, not saying that it's bad or good necessarily, but like he's the average kind of person. Like, keep his attention, you're golden, essentially. Then we have a speaking edit. So I will either talk while I'm reading it to hear it, or I'll have my computer read it to me, depending on the day. Sometimes I don't want something reading to me, I want to read it. So I go through speaking edit. After that, I will have professional edits through someone else. Then once I get that back, I will go through one last kind of read through, touch up, and then basically it's a formatting touch up. It's not like changing everything, it's just making sure that everything's there. I just want to read over her notes, kind of doing the edits from the professional editor. Then my last just catch-all is my proof edits. This is where either I will download it into a document where I can read it on my phone, or I will order a proof copy through one of my, like, Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Ingram Spark. I most likely will just do Amazon, since it's kind of easier. I've done them the last 2 go-arounds. I've also done proofs through the other 2. They just sometimes take longer to get to me. Amazon's pretty fast to get to me for a proof copy. So I like theirs because they're just faster. But after the proof copy, then we get it loaded and ready to go out to everybody. I'll be able to hit my September deadline and have everything out by then. This is the first time that I've ever put a deadline on myself, kind of thing. So I'm intrigued to see how that pushes or hinders me. I'm hoping it pushes me. It seems to so far, because I've said, I've been getting my edits done. Although, now we'll go into the Camp NaNoWrimo talk of things. Although it has been hurting my writing, because I make sure to get my edits done, but I don't make sure to do my writing for the day. I did do a short story this last Thursday, and so I got a lot of words written, but I didn't want to count them because technically I'm writing for another book, and I didn't get any words for that book done. So it's like I was avoiding this book. And I think the major reason is because I didn't know exactly how I wanted to start it. I knew some scenes in the future, like in the middle of the book. I know some scenes at the end of the book, but I don't have a real hard sense of what the beginning of the book is. And I know sometimes that's a little scary, because you don't even know where the book's starting, let alone going. But I got really excited last night after talking to my husband about things, because I don't even know. I know some of the things. Like I said, I want it to be like a Ferngully retelling. So there's some hard things that need to be in the story that I want in the story. And I have a whole page of notes written down about it. I did figure out the names, because I'm not using the names from the movie. I've got my own names. So I got the 3 main characters set out. I still have to figure out 2 other character names, but that shouldn't be too difficult. They're a little bit further in the story. But right now, I started. So yesterday was when I'm talking to you guys. I'm talking on Saturday. So yesterday was Friday, and I only got 162 words written for my first hour writing sprints, and I only did 1 hour yesterday. That is not a lot of words, but I felt like I did a lot of planning in that hour length and like figured out some things. I also couldn't go to sleep last night, so I sat and thought about my story and like kind of had ideas. Again, majority of it was like middle of the story or when we're into it. But I think like I like that. I like not knowing, like being like the reader and not knowing what the hell is happening. I think it makes it more mysterious for me. If it's mysterious for me, hell is going to be mysterious for the reader. So I'm really excited about it. I plan to do some writing over this weekend, even though I have like my Sundays and Mondays are off because I follow my husband's schedule right now. And usually I try not to work on those days, but I still think I want to get some writing done, at least a little bit. I put down that I should do at least 1,000 words and 1 chapter of edits still on those days off. I'm not, of course, not going to hold myself to it like a hard and fast rule, but I wanted to put it on there just in case. But I did write out a whole page of notes, front and back, of Ferngully. I got it watched. I've got the steps kind of how I want them. Of course, it's going to be my own story, so some things are going to change, some things are not going to be the same. And that's exciting. I'm really excited. I'm just, the whole part was how to start the book. Was I going to start from her perspective or from their perspective? And I thought if I started it from her perspective, because this is going to be third person, not first person. That was like my first books. I thought if I did it from her perspective, it would either A, be too similar to books that I've read, where it would have a kind of feel like that, or like I said, similarity of those books. And it could kind of feel similar to my first book, which I don't want it to be similar at all. I don't want the similarity there. So I decided to do it from their perspective for right now. You're still gonna see all the characters eventually. But for right now, we're starting with them. And I'm really excited because I'm like, ooh, what's next? And if I'm like, ooh, what's next? The reader's gonna, when they read it, they're gonna be like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And right now, I couldn't tell you because I myself don't know. And I'm really excited to start writing it. And yeah, so we're doing that. I am going to, for this book, even after July, I'm going to keep a record of how many sprints, how long essentially does it take me to write the book, the whole book. Cause how I have done things in the past is usually I'll write on it for a month, go back to the other book that I'm doing. Like I go back and forth between projects, which I like because it keeps me on my toes, essentially. It keeps things interesting. I'm not just stuck in one book. And, if I've read that book 20 million times, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this book. No, going back and forth, it kind of keeps it more interesting. So I can't be like, oh, I've worked on this book for just 6 months straight. No, or 8 months or a year straight. I can't say that because sometimes I'm working on it just a little bit that month. Sometimes I'm working on it a lot. Like this third book, I've been working on it since November of last year. But have I worked on it each and every month, specifically that book? No. Because at the beginning, I was working on the second book, like edits of that book, and getting that ready to come out in March. And so I would go back and forth between the second and the third book. And then, yeah, after March or April, I kind of hammered home on that third book. But I've also been working on other projects. So I can't just say I've been working on this straight so many months. It's kind of a little bit back and forth. So I wanted to keep a word tracker of kind of how long it takes me about, so I can kind of also get my writing guesstimates down with about how many words, how long it's going to take me, essentially. So I want this book to be around 120 to 130,000 words. I'm thinking that should be a good starting point, at least. If it's bigger, no problem. I don't think it should be smaller. I honestly don't think so. We already know the title of the book. I have already given that, so if you want to read it there, it's Legend of the Forest. Like I said, I only did the one writing sprint so far. Yesterday, 7-7. the mark of beginnings, 777. Sprint, I did an hour. Like I said, I did 162 words, and my total for the day was 162. Now that total will get bigger as I keep adding words, but the today will be how long that sprint was. If I do multiple sprints, I'll just put another date, like the same date. Like if I did a second one, there would be a 7-7 again, how long that sprint was, how many words, and then added that to that total for how long the document is so far. I think that will help me kind of see how long it takes, or about how many hour-long blocks it takes me to kind of finish a book, or kind of get a feel for that. I know about how long it takes me usually to edit. The writing, I've never really guesstimated how long it takes me. I can just say, usually I can get one done in this much time. But I'm not sure. So I kind of want to do this for myself, just on this book, to see about how long it takes. Anyway, that's all that I wanted to come on here and say. I do apologize if you hear my dog in the background barking, but that's kind of where I'm at with NaNoWrimo and book 3 edits, and what I plan to do this month. Edits and writing, essentially. But that's all I gotta say. I hope to talk to you guys next Monday. Talk to you later. Bye.